Hello everyone, Jude here. In this tutorial today, we shall be learning most of the fundamental basics that you simply have to know and understand so as to get started using Microsoft Excel. To get started, there are three major ways you can open up your Excel. The first one is through this icon here. If you have already created a shortcut on the desktop for Excel, or from the taskbar if you have already in it there, or here the search button here, you key in Excel. Here we are using Excel 2019 Office. When you open up Excel for the first time, Excel would like you to make a choice on what you would like to do from the pre-made template you provided, as we can see it here, and also a choice to simply open a blank template. This is often a welcome part of Excel, and it's a decent thing. They have removed from the users of Excel a great load from doing everything from the scratch, as these are mostly done for you templates, as we can see them here. All we need to do is to choose the one we want and then start making changes to it as it suits your desire. Here we have the billing statement template, we have the expenses report template, we have the loan amortization template. When we scroll up, we have the personal monthly budget template, and so on and so forth. As we can see here, these are all sort of great Excel spreadsheets that you can open up and start making changes to the data as it suits your desire. After this tutorial, I encourage you to take advantage of this and explore Excel more. And if you are online, there are many more templates you can use when you search for it by clicking here, typing in what you want, and when you find the one that suits your desire, you just click on it and it will make a copy of that as a spreadsheet that you can open and use in Excel. And in many cases, as it is with Excel, there are all type of nice Excel spreadsheets template. Simply just open up what you want and start making your own dynamical changes. So having said all that, it is best if we begin with a blank template. So I just click a blank template right there and it has just opened up. As we have opened up the blank template, the very first thing we'd like to do is to explore and find out about the different layouts that exist in Excel. So we must pay attention to know what they are called and their uses. First, across the top layout here, we have some tabs. We have the Home tab here, the Insert tab, the Page Layout tab, and so on. And as you can see, every tab is pretty necessary in our work on Excel. And once you click on a tab, it brings up its ribbon, which is here. We have the ribbon for the Home tab. Then here we have the ribbon for the Insert tab, and when we click the Page Layout, it will show us the Page Layout ribbon. Now every ribbon is split up into groups. These are groups. We have the groups here, as you can see them, these vertical lines here, they mark the groups. So these are some of the necessary terms that you must have to know and understand. By clicking the tab, you get to the ribbons, and from the ribbon you select the group you want to work with. Also, notice within the corner of a number of these groups there is a launch button. The work of this launch button is to launch other functions within the group which cannot fit in the space provided, and to also avoid cluster. If we take a look at the home page where we are now, you notice that the clipboard had a launch button The font has a launch button, and the alignment also have a launch button. But when we take a look at style, notice that style don't have a launch button, cells don't have a launch button, and editing don't have a launch button, and so on. So when we click the launch button, you have access to additional functions within the group. So what Microsoft has done here is they have tried to fit all the tabbed option on their ribbon. So having said all that, so we click here, you can see the launch button has opened up more functions for us in case we want to use them. So having said all that, let us now come to the spreadsheet itself. This is the spreadsheet. This open space here is the spreadsheet. The spreadsheets are made up of columns. These are the columns and the rows. That is what make up the spreadsheet. So you see here we have column A, column B, column C, column D, and so on. And if we browse to the right, as we get to Z, we continue with column AA, column AB, column AC. And from our left here, we can see the rows. We started with row 1 here, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, and so on. So spreadsheets are made up of columns and rows, and where there is an intersection is called a cell. So a column and a row produces a cell. So this is what a cell looks like. This specific cell here is called D5. Maybe you'll be imagining how we got that name. Is simply the intersection of the column and row. That is column D, row 5, D5. This particular cell here is B9, and this one is N12. For now, it may seem obvious and unimportant. However, as we continue, we see it's important. Remember, it is with this name you have to describe each cell, and with this name, you'll be able to have Excel perform perfectly with the content within each cell. We'll get to that later all the same. Also, of note is that you can insert or delete any cell, column, or row. Apart from the columns and the rows and the cells, there's another part of Excel that you have to understand, and it is called the range. A range is a cluster of cells that are grouped together to perform a certain type of function. When you click, hold, and hover over a certain number of cells, they became highlighted, and the areas that are highlighted became a range. A range could be this, or it could be this. It depends on what you are doing at that very particular time. Also, a range can be named just like the cells. You name the range from upper left through to the lower right. Example, this is F4 through to M8. This is D4 through to H15. Just begin with the left and end with the right. Or in this case, from up with the J4 to J14. So far, we have seen the templates. We have learned about the tabs, the ribbons, the groups, the launch button. We have even talked about the column, the row, the cells, and the ranges. Now we shall be learning how to add another sheet to the one we have already here. By programming, Microsoft provided a sheet. But that notwithstanding, you can add any number of sheets you want by clicking this plus button here. It's now sheet 2, sheet 3, 4, 5, and so on, depending on what you want. All these sheets together are called workbook or worksheets. All of them together are workbook or worksheet. You can delete a sheet or rename it by right clicking. Let's say we want to rename this one to cane. We type cane, and then let's say we want to delete sheet 5. We just delete and it's gone. We can still open under sheet 5 if the need arises. As at now, I believe that we have learned most of the necessary foundations we need to get started using Excel. So let us start creating and working on Excel spreadsheet. Let's say that we want to use Excel to create the number of students in my class. Please note that this could be anything. It could be the inventories or supplies, it could be the details of your sales, and it could be the list of your customers, their purchases, and their debts. Just anything that may need calculation at the end of the day. I will start by giving a title to my work. If I click the cap lock, it will make whatever I type to be capital letter. List of students in class 5. And if you observe, the title spill over to several cells, but that is not an issue of concern. We take care of this later. Just click enter to go to the next cell below. You can also see that where we enter the student's name also spill over into the next cell. Now let us enter some word or number in the next cell, in this very cell. You have noticed that the previous word disappeared. It is not deleted, but when you click on the cell, on this very first cell, and look up here on the formula bar, you see the whole sentences. We can as well fix this if we want everything to be visible on the spreadsheet. To demonstrate this, since we have our title up here, let's copy some data and fill up this place to illustrate. We copy and paste to illustrate it for better understanding. So we have copied and pasted some data into the cells. So some cells are now filled, and we have here serial number, names, age, sex, and some random subjects that are inputted. So let us fix the spilling over of some words. We may reduce the size of the letters we have written. Like this one, we may decide to reduce it to 8 to 15. Or we click here, we stretch out the columns to be the same length with what we are putting in by simply putting our cursor in between the two columns. In this case, you can see I'm putting it in between E and F. So we right click and drag to the right to fit in. We right click, hold, drag, thereby stretching that cell. You've noticed that the word mathematics has fitted in perfectly well. Also, we need to take note of the following. When you click enter in the cell, it will move a step downwards, and when you keep clicking on the enter key, you keep moving a step downward. Anytime you want to move up the spreadsheet, you hold the shift key and click enter. It will go up the spreadsheet. So click enter, you go down the spreadsheet, hold shift, click enter, you go up the spreadsheet. When you want to move to the right, you use the tab key, and when you want to go to the left, hold shift, click the tab key, it will go to the left. Tab right, shift plus tab left. We can also use the arrow keys to navigate around the spreadsheet. Just look at the side the arrow is facing, click on it, and it will move that direction. Let's say up, down, left, right. Look the side the arrow is facing, click it, it will go that direction. We can as well use the cursor to click anywhere we want. Another thing I want us to learn is how to correct any misspelled word. Let's say here, this M.A. James is actually Mary James, and we want to correct it to become Mary James. If we click on the cell once like this and type anything, it will delete what we have already written before. Every previous thing within that cell will be deleted because it's on it. But let's say we want to make that correction. What we have to do is to double click, and as we double click, we can see the cursor flashing inside the cell. Then we can now make the corrections we want. So now we have Mary. Remember, if you click on the cell, you delete whatever that was previously written there. But that's when you click once. But when you double click, you have the cursor inside the cell. Inside the cell, not on the cell. Then you can make any correction you want. Having said this, before we come to the end of this tutorial, it will be great to arrange our work and make our work look a bit good. First, we have to make our title to look outstanding. You can see that the title is on the left side just like the rest, the same position, the same color, no difference. So what we have to do is to click on the cell housing what we have written. If we click on the next cell, we notice nothing showed up on the formula bar. But the cell that is housing it, when you click it, you see everything showing up on the formula bar. So we click on that cell, hold down the shift key and drag it to the end of our data. Well, we drag it to the end of our data. Then from the home tab, we look at the alignment. From the home tab, within the alignment group, there's a button called merge and center. Click it. It has merged and center our title. Now we have gotten just one big cell. Then click the B here to bold the title. And the B is on the front group. You can also use italic to italize our work. You can click the U to underline it if we so want. We can increase the font from here. Click the drop down and select what we want to make it look different. We could also change the color of the font by clicking here. Choose any color we want from the drop down. We can also color the background. When we hover over fill color, we choose the color we want. Let's say we want yellow. Our title is now different, but I will just put it at no color. You can use anything you want. We can see as well that some texts are not quite fitted in their cells, so we could go up to the top like I showed earlier and drag to fit in. Come up here, click, drag to make them fit in. Another way we can do this to go up and go in between the two columns that we want to adjust, and double click. It will automatically resize it to fit. And you can notice that as the thing keep fitting in, our title keep on adjusting to be in the center. We are done with the title, so let us make the heading look a bit different from the others. We first highlight it, then we bold, italize, underline if we so wish, choose any color we want, and then we can color the background. But I would just like to use no color, and then black. I think it's better. You may be thinking, how did I highlight it fast like that? We just come to this point from the row, the number there, you just click it once, it will highlight all the way to the end of the row. Then we choose the function we want to perform, either to bold, italize, or do both. Maybe increase the font, change the font color or the background color if we so wish. So far, I hope we are now familiar with the different names of the layout in Excel. We know how to find the tables, the ribbons, the group, the columns, the rows, cells, ranges, sheets, and workbooks. And we now know how to enter the data and how to select it in order to effect necessary changes. Also how to delete when it becomes necessary. We also learn how to adjust the columns and the rows when there are spillovers. So we have come to the end of our tutorial today. Thank you for watching this Excel beginners basic video tutorial. I hope you enjoy it. So please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you once I drop a new video. Please do watch out for new videos from Tech Office Software every week. Thank you once again. See you in the next video.